Hi, I'm Andrew Gould. I'm here with Daniel Timson today. We're down in West Sussex, and Dan's got one of his young 7-year-olds, German stallion, and we're going to work through a little bit of the basics today and how this horse warms up, and little exercises that Dan does, just in an easy manner, nothing too technical, just sending the horse through its loose movement, a little bit of stretching work. You can see he's riding the horse quite low at the moment, and just riding a very easy trot. We're not asking for too much. The horse has just recently come out of the stable, so you don't start asking too many questions too early. We just want to see the horse in its natural way of going. The horse has got a super front on him with a really good neck. When you've got a horse with a neck like this, it's very, very easy to not have to do an awful lot. You know, the horse naturally takes the shape. So you can see Dan can sit there nice and balanced and just really guiding the horse. There's always a little bit of a conversation going on in his contact, just discussing with the horse, saying, how do you feel my left rein, how do you feel my right? But you can see the horse is nice and easy over the back, that he hasn't got to do too much. It's a young horse, a little bit fresh, but that's nice to see. You can just see Dan taking a little bit of inside bend with him, just to give him a little bit of relaxation through the body. We start our horses off in this much rounder shape, and we like to do that because it gives the horse a nice frame of balance, and there's no tension in the horse whatsoever. And there's always the discussion, should you ride horses up or down? And I'm under the opinion that I ride my horses down so that I can ride them up. And you're working the strength of the horse when they're working down in certain parts of their body, so that when you bring the horse up, the horse is strong enough to cope and can balance himself. And the fact that the horse wants to be round, it's a lot easier to ride a horse up. So this is a really good example of a horse wanting to be on the bit. It's got a lot of movement, and a little bit Dan's job at the moment is learning to contain that movement rather than try to make him trot bigger or canter better or anything like that. It's more a case of, look, I know the horse can move, let's just try to train him in the basics and the balance so that he can do all the movements later on when he's a Grand Prix horse. Little things like that with the young horse is what it's doing, shooting forward. That's from mine and Dan's point of view, it's a good sign, because we want a horse to be a Grand Prix horse. It's got to have an element of natural energy. We don't want to have to be pushing it. So the fact that it scoots off here and there, you notice Dan doesn't punish it in any way or remind him who's boss. That's all part of just being a normal young horse and being a breeding stallion as well. There's always an added little bit of awareness for him. Okay, Dan, if you could just start riding a few transitions from trot to walk, maybe 2 to 3 strides in between the transition. That's plenty, and then go forward again. And then do that sort of like every 10, 15 strides, just rebalance him again. So this is an exercise I would do with 4-year-old horses or 14-year-old horses. It doesn't matter the age. We are purely working on teaching this horse basically what a half halt is. This is an exaggerated half halt. So when the horse gets a little bit unbalanced, you ride a simple transition, come back to me, rebalance yourself, carry on again. And in time, you would lose the walk trot transition and basically just ride a rebalancing half halt that then you don't really get to see and everybody else sees it. Everybody else doesn't get to see it, but as a rider you get to feel it. That's good. Make sure he stays straight through the transition. Straightness is the crucial point here as well, that the horse stays in balance. But when you do the transition, you don't want to see the hind legs swinging out the side or the shoulder ducking and diving. The horse needs to stay compressed in its body. And then development of that is the horse starts to sit a little bit more each time into the transition. Already you can just start to see this horse coming a little bit more up in the shoulder just from the transitions itself. So you've got 2 issues going on here. You've got one, that the horse is being rebalanced so that he's understanding what Dan's aids are. It's communication going on between horse and rider. And 2, the transition is doing its job by its engaging him. He's making, each time he does a transition, he compresses himself a little bit more. The quality of trot is getting better. And I don't put a time limit on how long you should do these transitions for, but if you're doing them every single day and the horse is understanding what the transition's there for, and you understand the transition, then obviously you can adapt. Okay, it feels good, it's real balance, we move on and do something else. But at the same time, if it doesn't accept it, then you stay doing these transitions until he does. And that's important. You don't touch on something and then think, well, it's not really working, we'll move away. You've got to keep these things going. It's a very simple exercise, but it's a very effective exercise. You can do this with sharp horses in a way that you can chill them and calm them. At the same time, you can do it with lazy horses and it sharpens them up. Just depends on how quick the transition comes. If you do longer walk strides, you're relaxing the horse. If you do quicker strides, so you almost hit the transition and you're out again, that's how you work with I would say, a more backward thinking horse, to try and sharpen it off the leg. Dan, can you just come on a circle and do a little bit of leg yield away from your inside leg? So the little exercises from the beginning warm-up make the body as supple. As much as people always talk about, he leans on my left rein, or he leans on my right rein, it's the body that's very crucial here, that a lot of horses block in the body and their first point of call is our hand. So if you're feeling, when you put your leg on your horse, he doesn't move away from you, he will then naturally get stronger in your rein. And then that's when people think, there's a blockage in the mouth. Actually, it's where the leg comes on. So just ask there, a little bit more right bend, bit quarters to the outside. There you go. So now he's easily bending through from the body. When Dan touched him with the right leg, straight away inside hind leg, steps across the body. He feels the softness in the hand there, a little reward for that. It's important in an exercise like this that you are aware of what the shoulder's doing. So many times you'll see someone ride this exercise and the horse moves sideways, not because he's moved away from the rider's aids, but more because he's falling out the shoulder. And the horses will try that to cheat. You just see there on that corner, Dan put a little bit left leg in, horse moves away. Just a little bit more bend to the left. That's it. And you can tell the fact that the horse straight away came into the bend and there's no resistance there. Okay, with this horse we've just shown you 2 very, very simple exercises: transition work and moving the horse away from the leg. Very simple, very effective, and it doesn't matter on the age or the level of the horse, maybe more so the level, because we would do this with a Grand Prix horse or we do it with a 4-year-old novice horse. They're exercises that set the horse up for the beginning of its training session. All you're doing is getting the body and the mind in the right frame. So the transition is working the mind in the balance, getting him to understand what the half halt means. Every time the horse runs a little bit forward, you make the transition, horse comes back to you, mentally he starts to listen to you. And what we just did there in the trot circle, just moving the horse away from the inside leg, very simple, but you're again really putting body pressure there to say, move from my leg, step away, give a little bit in the body at the same time, which will naturally affect a better contact in the hand.